Should you block your ex, especially if you're trying to get them back? Check this out. So there's a few reasons, and I'll go into all of them in this video, that you should block your ex. But before I do that, if you need help with your situation and you're wondering if it's salvageable or whatever, go to my profile, click the Stay in Store link, and choose whatever option works for you. And you'll see videos inside those about how the phone call and texting options work for you. And I'm working on a book right now, so you'll see a book available maybe at the time. So the first reason, the first thing that you should consider if you want to block your ex is, are they toxic or manipulative right now, right? So a lot of you guys are dealing with breakups, and your ex can actually do a lot of things to pull you in and then push you out, pull you in and push you out. Sometimes they'll come back around just to mess with you, and sometimes sometimes they don't, right? So sometimes it's a choice. I said this in one of my previous videos. Sometimes people do things subconsciously, not even realizing that they're doing it. So they're not trying to hurt you, and some people are. So you have to define if that person is trying to hurt your feelings. So are they texting you, then ghosting you constantly, right? Is that happening a lot? So if that is, then of course, eventually you're gonna wanna block them just for a little while, just to get your sanity back, but we'll go into that in just a moment. So blocking them and just avoiding that manipulation is a good reason. So step number 2 is, if you can't stop checking their social media, okay? This is huge. All of my clients talk about social media in one way or another. So it's really important that you are able to control your emotions. And if you're having a hard time doing that, because again, you're trying to appear attractive to them, when people are emotional, overly emotional, they're very unattractive, right? It's repulsive because you're thinking, oh my God, is this person a toddler? Like, they're grown. If someone, especially a man, if a man can't control his emotions to women, I know fellas, a woman that is, acting crazy is unattractive too, but when women are looking at a man and they see a man not able to control his emotions, it really turns women off, because if a man can't control his emotions, it can make women feel very uncomfortable, right? Because we're much stronger than them 99.9% of the time. And the one thing that women have to worry about is dudes. So when a man can't control, you can't even control yourself from texting a girl, how is she going to feel comfortable being around you, right? So that's something to take into consideration. So the number 3 is, they're starting to date and they're starting to, put themselves out there, and it's just too hard for you to see and watch that. And that's a perfectly acceptable reason why you would want to block someone. So I get that. So those 3 reasons are, and I see a lot, especially my clients who are with me long term, they'll have a lot of back and forth and up and down, and they'll have weeks where they feel great about everything, and then they see a post from their ex and they're like, now my entire world is upside down. So that's why I'm talking about, you guys have to go into controlling your emotions, which is why I talk about Letting Go, the book, which is also in my Stay in Store link. You guys will be able to click that and purchase it for whatever country that you're in. So the fourth thing I want to talk about is when you shouldn't block them, okay? So blocking isn't always the right move, and here's why. And there's 3 things about this part of the video that I want to go into. And the first thing is kids, okay? Obligations, but we'll go specifically into kids. If you have to plan things, you probably shouldn't block your ex, and you can probably figure that out for yourself, but I've had people still screw this up. So, and the cool thing about, if we're going to say anything that's good about going through a breakup, this is, if you have an ex and you have kids with them and you have to see them, this is awesome, because you can use your glow up and your self-improvement to show them over a longer period of time that you are better, that you are different. So this goes into attraction 101. But when you start to smell better, you start to look better, maybe you get a haircut, you start to trim up your beard. Maybe you had a big beard, she always hated it, but you didn't give a fuck. So you start to trim up your beard. You just start to look more fresh, right? When you do that and they see it, yes, they may go, oh, it's too late now. But at the same time, we can't help how we feel. So she might look at you and he might look at you if you're a lady, and maybe you've lost some weight, or maybe you just got a haircut or something like that, dyed your hair, whatever. And you start to do things to make yourself a lot look more beautiful. Because ladies, I love you, but you guys can get complacent in relationships too. Dudes do it more, but girls can too. I've seen tons of girls get really lazy in a relationship and they stop trying to look shiny for their man. Okay, so men are very visual creatures. We like what we see, and that's what we fell in love with. So I see a lot of girls get lazy too. So it goes both ways. So if you start to look better and it smell better, you change, especially when you changed it up, this can have a huge impact on their attraction level, especially over time. Because say you go to pick up your kids and you guys have to do a handoff, or like, hey, this is what he ate today, and this is when they napped today, blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff, and they smell you and they're like, ooh, they're gonna think about that stuff, especially over time, right? Because over time as well, here's another variable, is they forget about all that negative stuff that's been built up. Okay, I know this is a long video, but it's important. And then as you start to look better, smell better, act better, when you're cool, calm, collected, they'll start to feel that vibration off of you. Women are much more in tune with that kind of stuff from the get-go, but if you work on it as a man, you can get to some sick levels, especially when you really understand vibration, attraction, the law of divine oneness. I go into all this, but when you start to think that way, you start to attract massive amounts of abundance to you. And that way you can start earning a shit ton of money. Oh my God, guys, it's crazy. So I'll go into that in another video. So the next reason, so the second reason when you shouldn't block them is obviously if you want to reconnect. Now, I've seen people do this. I know this sounds obvious, but I've seen people do this where they will literally block somebody and assume that their ex is going to just beg them at some point and find every avenue to reach out and say, oh my God, let's get back together. And sometimes they don't. They're like, well, you blocked me, so how am I supposed to reach out to you, right? I've actually I shit you not, I've had a client of mine, it was a lady, and she was like, my ex is trying to reach out to me. He has texted me this, and he's emailed me this, and he sent this DM on this. Should I respond to this if I want him back? I'm like, yeah, right? So it should be obvious, but it isn't. That's why I have to say these things. So not a lot of time, but sometimes breakups can be kind of a mutual thing. You guys kind of realize you guys are acting like roommates and whatever, and you guys will separate. But there's still some part of you that's like, we can make this work, but neither of us are really trying that hard. So then the third reason is you're using no contact strategically. So if you're trying to do no contact and you just kind of block them, and you can do it for a little bit just to stop yourself from being too reactive, but you want to use it so that if they want to reach out to you, they can. But so this is a kind of a fine line. That's why I offer coaching, because it's really hard to decide when to do something and when not to do something. And it's a lot easier when you have somebody like me in your back pocket to be like, hey, is this a good time to unblock now? That kind of thing. So the alternatives and some other things I want to talk about. The first thing I want you to think about is muting stories and posts. That will help big time. The second thing is archiving or getting rid of photos, so you're not sitting there ruminating all day. And the last thing is limit social media time. So make sure you're not just sitting on social media just going through it all, because it's a big issue that I see a lot of people, they're not able to handle, okay? So muting can really help you. And here's what blocking can do for you. It creates a lot of mystery. Okay, I have my notes over here if you see why I'm looking. Creates a lot of mystery. Okay, mystery is super, super important getting your ex back, because they start to remember the good things and not the bad things. But it triggered, this is the most important one, it triggers scarcity. The scarcity principle, right? People want what they can't have, that kind of thing. So, and the last one is the risk of the door being closed permanently. These things are super important. So if you're thinking about blocking your ex, make sure that you think about all this, okay? And it can really work out for you. If you need help, let me know.